Hey, welcome back to the channel. And if this is your first time here, buckle up, because today we're talking about something that has left the entire world speechless. Picture this: an idol, a singer, a performer, who had been absent from the world stage for nearly 4 years due to mandatory military service, suddenly returns. And not just a quiet, low-key return. He comes back in a way that makes everyone, from shooting directors, camera crews, makeup artists, to people who never even liked him in the first place, all say the exact same thing. And today, we're talking about none other than Jimin, the one BTS member who never seems to stop amazing the world. So don't go anywhere, because this video is the most complete, most updated, and most honest breakdown of everything happening with Jimin in 2026. Stay tuned. Okay, before we get into the heart of this story, let's do a quick flashback. For those who might not know, Jimin enlisted for mandatory military service in December 2023 alongside Jungkook. The entire world held its breath. Armies cried everywhere. Korean media went into a frenzy, and the K-pop world seemed to collectively mourn the temporary loss of one of its most iconic performers. But time kept moving, and throughout 2025, BTS members began completing their military duties one by one, until finally, by mid-2025, all 7 BTS members, RM, Jin, Suga, jhope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook, officially returned to the entertainment world. Complete. Together, 7 stars reunited at last. And what happened next? Big Hit Music announced something that sent shockwaves through the entire K-pop fandom. BTS would make a full comeback with new music in March 2026 and immediately announced a 2026 to 2027 world tour, their first world tour since permission to dance on stage in 2021 to 2022. The tour kicks off in South Korea in April 2026 and runs through March 2027, covering more than 70 show dates across Asia, North America, South America, Australia, and Europe. With a 360-degree stage format that places the audience right in the middle of all the action, this is no ordinary concert. This is an experience unlike anything that has come before. But behind all the hype of this comeback, there is one name that keeps coming up. One figure that makes everyone stop for a moment and say, wait, is this even real? Now, let's get into the core of this video. During the entire preparation process for the BTS comeback, from MV shoots, photo sessions, promotional video recordings, to concert rehearsals, one thing kept repeating itself. Something consistently said by everyone who worked alongside Jimin. And this wasn't empty praise from fans or Korean media that might already be biased. This came from industry professionals, from the people behind the camera, from crew members who don't know fandom names, who don't care which BTS member is their personal favorite. They only knew one thing: Jimin is a standard of his own. A senior photographer who has worked with numerous international artists described his experience during the photo session for BTS's comeback promotions. He said, and this is a direct paraphrase, "I've been in this industry for over 15 years. I've shot top models from around the world. But there is something about Jimin that is different. The camera seems to fall in love with him. Every angle, every expression, every small movement, all of it can become a photograph." He continued, and what impressed me most? He's not arrogant about it. He was actually the one most likely to come to me and ask, is this good enough? Is there anything I should change? That level of professionalism is something I rarely encounter. This wasn't an isolated story. A choreographer involved in the preparation for the 2026 World Tour shared a similar sentiment. He said, "I've trained a lot of artists. Jimin doesn't just come in and follow instructions. He comes in, understands the why behind every movement, and then makes it entirely his own. And when he performs it, the movement doesn't feel like choreography anymore. It feels like his own breath." Even the makeup artist who handled Jimin's styling for a fashion collaboration project said, "Usually big artists come with a long list of special requests and conditions. Jimin?" He sat down, smiled, asked for my name, and said, "I trust your expertise completely." And when the result came out, he thanked me. Genuinely. Not polite, obligatory gratitude. Genuinely. Interesting, isn't it? All from different worlds, different backgrounds, different jobs. Yet one same word keeps surfacing: genuine. Now, let's talk numbers. Because if the words from people on set might feel subjective to some of you, numbers don't lie. Fact 1. A Spotify monster. JiminBTS surpassed 2.3 billion streams on Spotify with his solo single, Who, a first for a solo Asian artist without a featured collaborator. His solo album, Muse, also reached 3.8 billion streams, which is also a first for a solo Korean language work. Just try to comprehend that. 2.3 billion streams for one song from a Korean solo artist, without any other artist's name on the track as a feature. That is not luck. That is not the result of streaming manipulation or a record label strategy alone. That is proof that Who genuinely touched the hearts of millions of people around the world. And that album Muse, released in July 2024, Who stayed on the Billboard Hot 100 for 33 weeks, the longest run for a K-pop solo act at the time, peaking at number 12. 33 weeks, more than 8 months, on the most competitive chart in the music world. If anyone still claims Jimin is only popular because of his fandom, please explain these numbers first. Fact 2. Brand reputation number 1. 3 consecutive months. JiminBTS successfully maintained the top position in male idol brand reputation rankings for 3 consecutive months. And for February 2026, Jimin's brand reputation index reached 5,369,144, up 29.62% compared to January, with a positive sentiment ratio of 92.94%. 92.94% positive. In an entertainment industry filled with controversy, drama, and active haters on social media, nearly 93% of the public sentiment toward Jimin is positive. That number speaks for itself. Fact 3. Dior and global fashion influence. Jimin is an active global ambassador for luxury brand Dior and has delivered a significant global influence. He was also named in the Model and Muse category in the BOF yearbook class of 2019 and has become one of the global fashion icons who sets the benchmark for modern beauty standards shifting toward naturalness. That is no small thing. Global ambassador for Dior. That is not a position handed out casually. Dior chooses their faces with extreme care and precision. And they chose Jimin. Fact 4. Natural beauty recognized by experts. Anthony Yoon, a prominent American plastic surgeon with more than 5 million followers, cited Jimin as a representative example of natural beauty, pointing to his slender facial contours, healthy skin, and soft yet uniquely attractive eye and lip lines. Yoon explained that Jimin's face has an extraordinarily balanced and harmonious ratio. This wasn't a fan saying this. This is a renowned American plastic surgeon who professionally analyzed and concluded that what Jimin has is natural. Something that cannot be bought with money or created through surgery. But hold on. That data and those numbers are extraordinary. But if we only talk about numbers, we miss the most important thing. Why is Jimin able to achieve all of this? Let's understand this more deeply. Jimin was not an artist born into an easy path. Before debuting with BTS in 2013, he was the only trainee accepted from Big Hit's audition batch that year. The only one, out of thousands of applicants. And even after passing, he almost didn't make the final BTS lineup. Even Bang Si-hyuk, the founder of Hybe, had considered not including him in the group because his training period was still very short. But Jimin did not give up. He trained harder than anyone else. Fellow BTS members have repeatedly shared how Jimin was always the last one to leave the practice studio. How he would sleep on the studio floor instead of returning to the dorm, just so he could resume practice earlier the next morning. And that work ethic never stopped at debut. Even after BTS became one of the biggest K-pop groups in the world, Jimin remained known as the most perfectionist member when it came to his performances. He once openly cried in front of fans because he felt his stage performance didn't meet the standard he had set for himself. This is what makes people on filming sets talk. They don't just see a pretty or handsome idol. They see a professional who comes prepared, with dedication, and with a genuine humility that cannot be faked. A creative director who worked with Jimin on an art video project described the experience like this. I usually have to fight hard to convince artists to step outside their comfort zones. With Jimin, it was the opposite. He was the one asking, "What is your vision? What is the most extreme thing you want to try?" And when I explained the concept, he didn't hesitate. He just said, "Let's try it." There was a moment during that shoot that was incredibly emotionally intense. I was worried he wouldn't be able to access that emotion. But within minutes, he was there. Completely. I could barely believe what I was seeing through my camera's viewfinder. This is what we call art. Not just performance, not just technique, but the ability to truly be present, to truly feel, and to truly deliver something that penetrates the screen and touches every single person watching. And it's not just people within the Korean industry who are talking. The international world has long acknowledged Jimin. WORLD Thailand wrote extensively about Jimin as a representation of the shifting modern global beauty standard. International fashion magazines competed to feature his name. Billboard, Rolling Stone, Time magazine all have at some point cited Jimin as one of the most influential artists of his generation. And now, with BTS's comeback and the announced 2026 to 2027 World Tour, the world is once again turning its attention to Jimin. Concert tickets sold out within minutes. In Los Angeles alone, BTS will perform 4 consecutive nights at SoFi Stadium. In New Jersey, Chicago, Las Vegas, Mexico City, in every city, virtual ticket purchase queues reached millions of people. And in all the conversation about this comeback, Jimin's name always appears in the very first line. Not because he deliberately seeks the spotlight, but because the spotlight naturally finds him. Even in international communities that were initially skeptical of K-pop and BTS, people who used to call BTS just another boy band or a passing phenomenon, many now admit they were wrong. And Jimin is one of the strongest pieces of evidence for why they were wrong. A music critic from America who was once very critical of K-pop recently wrote a lengthy essay. In it he said, and I'm paraphrasing from his article, "I spent years dismissing the K-pop phenomenon. Then I actually sat down, watched Jimin's performance, and listened to his album from beginning to end. And I had to be honest with myself. This is art. This is not a factory product. This is someone who genuinely has something to say to the world, and has found an extraordinary way to say it." Even the haters have gone silent. Now let's talk about the specific moments that have kept Jimin's name trending throughout 2026. Viral Moment 1. BTS Comeback Rehearsal. When the behind-the-scenes rehearsal video of the BTS comeback was released officially through Weverse, one of the clips that was most widely reposted was Jimin doing a run-through of the choreography for a new comeback song. Not because of any dramatic moment or controversy, but simply because the reason is incredibly simple. He looked like he had never stopped training for a single day during his 2 years of military service. His movements were sharp. His expressions were alive. His energy was full. Fans and non-fans alike were stunned. Comment sections were flooded with different versions of the same sentence. How is it possible that someone looks like this after 2 years of military service? The simple answer? Jimin is Jimin. Dedication doesn't stop just because circumstances change. Viral Moment 2. The Spotify record announcement. When Korea Herald and numerous international media outlets announced that Jimin's, who had surpassed 2.3 billion streams on Spotify, social media immediately erupted. Trending on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and even platforms that don't usually discuss K-pop much. What was fascinating was the reaction from mainstream music communities. Many musicians and producers from the Western industry publicly tweeted their congratulations. Several admitted that they themselves had been listening to Who and Muse regularly, not as professional reference material, but as listeners who genuinely enjoyed the music. Viral Moment 3. The WORLD Thailand feature. When WORLD Thailand released their in-depth article about Jimin as a natural beauty icon, it was immediately shared by millions, including many who aren't armies. Casual readers who don't care about K-pop read the article and shared it with captions like, "Regardless of whether you like K-pop or not, this article is worth reading." And that is something incredibly rare in the fandom ecosystem, which is usually very contained within its own bubble. Jimin managed to break through that bubble. When we talk about recognition from people on filming sets, we also can't ignore the recognition from fellow artists. Throughout BTS's career, and specifically with Jimin's solo work, many artists from various genres have publicly expressed their admiration. Renowned music producers, R&B singers, even mainstream pop artists who don't typically talk about K-pop. Many have mentioned Jimin's name in very positive contexts. There was a viral moment not long ago when an international singer was asked in an interview about the artist who most inspires them right now. Their answer surprised the interviewer, Jimin from BTS. Not because they share a genre, not because they had ever collaborated, but because, the singer said, the way he approaches every performance as a work of art. That's what I always try to do, but he achieves it on a completely different level. And this is precisely what makes haters, who usually have 1,001 reasons to dislike someone, ultimately go silent. Because when artists they themselves respect begin speaking about Jimin with a tone of admiration, it becomes very difficult to maintain the argument that Jimin doesn't deserve a place in the world music industry. So, what still awaits Jimin, and all of us, in the remainder of 2026? First, of course, the BTS comeback in March 2026 with new music that has been incredibly anticipated. This is BTS's first full group comeback in over 4 years. The expectations? Astronomically high. And based on everything we've seen from their rehearsals and preparations, BTS will not disappoint. Second, the BTS World Tour 2026 to 2027. With more than 70 show dates around the world, this is the opportunity for millions of fans who have never seen BTS live to finally experience it in person. And based on the 360-degree stage format that's been announced, every single person inside those arenas will have an extraordinary experience. Third, there is a very strong likelihood that new solo work from Jimin is on the way. Given the extraordinary success of Muse and Who, it is highly probable that Jimin has already been preparing something new. Whether that's an album, a single, or a collaboration, whatever comes from him is already being awaited by millions of people worldwide. And fourth, and this is the most unpredictable but most exciting of all, what other surprises will Jimin give the world? Because if there is one thing that has been absolutely consistent about Jimin throughout his entire career, it's that he always exceeds expectations. Always. Without fail. So there it is, a complete picture of why everyone on filming sets, in the music industry, in the fashion world, in international fan communities, and even people who were once deeply skeptical, all consistently say the same thing about JiminBTS. Not because of a hidden agenda, not because armies pressured them, but because Jimin is one of the rare artists of his generation who truly lets his work speak louder than any words ever could. He shows up prepared. He shows up with humility. He shows up with a dedication that has never faded even while standing at the very top of the industry. And he shows up with something incredibly rare in modern entertainment, genuine authenticity. And that is exactly why even the haters have gone silent. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with everyone who needs to see this. Drop a comment below. What has been the most memorable Jimin moment of 2026 for you? And if there's another BTS or K-pop topic you'd like to see on this channel, request it right here. See you in the next video. Stay golden, Army.